and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess. This is Frugal Living Challenge 25, an open collaboration that will end in December. All the information and details will be in the description box below this video. I hope that you will enjoy this and you will jump on board if you're a content creator. So today I'm going to show you some things that we have to get processed for our pantry. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is the most frugal way I know to have food for your family year in and year out without the worry of the economy. So we picked up some small potatoes from our local Amish farmers. I think this is the end of the season for the potatoes. They will be planting winter potatoes, I'm pretty sure, so that they'll have new potatoes next spring. So we're going to be working on those today. And then I have a bowl of my cayenne peppers, and y'all, you have to come in here. I've got a bean that fell out of my basket, but you have to come in here and turn them, or you'll end up having mold on your vegetables. So you make sure you're turning your fresh vegetables as much as possible. And we have okra. Now some of this is some that we have grown, and we have some in here that are quite large pods. And what I'm going to do with these is they're going into the dehydrator. That one's really big compared to the other one. Look at that. So these are going to go into the dehydrator, and I will dehydrate these and turn them into a powder. The reason I turn it into a powder is because I'm a diabetic, and I can use this in place of cornstarch for thickening, and it still maintains its healthy benefits. And even these larger pods, if the top snaps, then they are healthy for us to eat and consume. If they're not, I would allow them to dry on our plants or feed them to our chickens. So those are the okra. We also purchased the bigger tomatoes from the Amish to have for sides with our supper or with sandwiches, and there is an Amish paste there. We picked up some dried cilantro. Cilantro will get heavy metals out of your body, so we like to have that on hand, and I can use it in cooking. And then we picked up some discounted rosemary, and so we got a really good deal on 3 packs of rosemary. They did not have any decent looking red tomatoes, but one of the farmers had the Cherokee Purple, which is what you're looking at now. And they usually are funny looking tomatoes. So this is normal. And I've got one that's got a little bad spot on it here, but they normally have a little green on the bottom. That's perfectly normal. I want to do some tomatoes and do some stew up, and I may do it with some venison that we have in the freezer. I'm not sure yet, or I may just can them straight. But we paid $15 for 20 pounds of tomatoes. I also picked up some white onions to go in our hanging basket, and we have onions up here, and we have garlic. So my plan is to either dehydrate something or can something each day this week. So Monday through Friday, get all of this food processed. And I think I'm going to have to just go ahead and can the tomatoes and come back and make my stew after I get everything canned up. I've got a couple of tomatoes in that box going bad already, so I don't want to waste those tomatoes. So today my focus is going to be on the potatoes, getting them washed and cut up, and then put them in a jar, set them in the refrigerator so that they can soak. And I will drain the water about 3 times, 4 times to get all of that starch leached out of those potatoes before I can them, because potatoes, when you can straight like they are, all that starch will sit up in your jars and it will be an icky mush in your jar. It will not look pretty on your pantry shelf. The cayenne peppers will get strung. These up here are dry and ready for me to make into red pepper flakes. So those are going to be coming down hopefully this week. And I have a lot of herbs that I need to work through. So y'all stick around. We're going to have a little bit of kitchen fun today. I've got eggshells that I need to put into my oven today. I've got butter to make. I've got a lot of things on my plate today to get started with this week. So this is about 7 pounds of potatoes. And I was planning on using some of these for my stew. I wanted a beef stew, but we haven't been able to get to the store in Lexington to purchase the organic meat that we normally buy. So let me get rid of my bowl. And these are fresh dug potatoes. Of course, they've washed them once, but I'm going to go ahead and wash these again. Because they're organic, I'm leaving the skin on. And I can use a scrubber. I've got my little homemade scrubbers if I need to scrub my potato down, or I can use a brush. I've got a brush. Let me grab my brush. So I always rinse my brush out because it sits out on my counter. Just don't want anything, dust or anything in there. And then I just scrub my potatoes down with that brush and rinse them and get them to the cutting board. So we're going to go through this, and with my little homemade scrubber, I do the same thing. I just make sure I wash them down, that my potatoes are firm, they're not soft, and I can work through my potatoes rather quickly. Now these are smaller potatoes, but I'm still going to cut them up. Because I do want them to be in 1-inch pieces, and that potato I don't think is going to be good. We'll put that in a bucket and throw that out into our compost bin. And some of the potatoes are bigger. So if they're really, really small, I'm just going to cut them in half because I want all that starch to leach out. And it looks like these might be a mix of potatoes, of white and red potatoes. While there is an initial investment in buying canning equipment for home canning can lead to a significant long-term savings, especially for organic produce. Buying your vegetables in bulk, in season, or raising your own organic veggies is a cheaper way than buying single can units in the grocery store. Canning allows less food waste that might otherwise spoil before you can eat it. This makes your budget go further. So we got 1 gallon and almost a half gallon, probably 5 quarts plus a pint of potatoes here. These are going to go into the refrigerator, and I will be straining the water off of them periodically over the next day, and then we're going to try to get these canned up either in stew or as potatoes. The first year of canning may seem costly, but you can reuse the jars and most canning equipment for many, many years. Home canning is safe if you follow the rules. You control the ingredients. There is no preservatives. You control the sugar, no BPAs in the cans. Better nutrient retention. Please check the description box below because there's more information on safe home canning of tomatoes. So this box had a few bad tomatoes in it. Sometimes we just get a bad box, but we got 1 gallon and a pint of tomatoes out of that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make either crushed tomatoes or I'm going to juice them and turn it into tomato juice. I'm not sure which one. It does have a little bit of a different acidity, so I'm going to have to check that before I can. I wrote a few notes down, so I'm going to be reading. As a final note, this is also environmentally a sound practice because it reduces the packaging waste. When you go to the store, you're buying packages and you're throwing away plastic and cardboard and tin cans, etc., etc. So it reduces that footprint. It supports local organic farmers if you're buying from local organic farmers. There's no long distance transportation of your food to get to the grocery stores, which means less fossil fuels being spent. Home canning organic vegetables is rewarding. It aligns with a health conscious lifestyle. You are empowered because you control what your family eats. The money savings in the long run is just unbelievable. So initially, you're going to have a cost the first year when you're buying your equipment, but as you start processing your food and reusing your canning jars and your canning equipment, you're actually saving money in the long run. Simply put, home preserving your foods is economical and sustainable. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you for the many comments, the likes, the friendships, and for sharing this content out. Take a moment and watch all of the advertisements because that is how I get monetized and get paid. I appreciate each and every one of you for your time and your patience. And y'all, I have this special content over here I think you might like.